what is jazz? I feel like this is such a loaded question because jazz is so many things. It is music that was born out of the African American community, and it was taken off of the movement of blues and ragtime. This music became the greatest music in American history, and it has become now something that we have held very sacred for a long time. What's so incredible about jazz is that the music is written. For example, George Gershwin, Ira Gershwin, Someone to Watch Over Me. This song is written in ink, in particular, as specific notes with a specific rhythm. But over the course of history, what jazz provides for is for musicians to interpret them all their own, every time. You can change it up. In fact, you should, but you gotta learn it first. You gotta learn the ink on the page. And if you know that ink, once you get out on stage, you get behind that microphone to sing in the studio, you can cut it however you want it, but you better know what was written. With jazz, it's all about having a conversation with every single person that you are playing with and telling a different story every night. And that's what I love so much about it. Jazz is very special. It's unpredictable. And I always joke that if you make a mistake, you're only half a step away from writing that wrong in that music. You can maneuver and do things in jazz that you can't do in any other kind of music. And it is so beautiful in that way. There's something about the loneliness in my heart that becomes filled with happiness when I sing jazz. That is why I love it so much. It's like a warm hug, where I can just float. Sing it as it was written, or sing it however I want. I found out very quickly in the music business that people like to tell you what to do. And what's so great is when I get to sing jazz, I get to do what I want to do and tell everybody to kick rocks. My earliest memories of hearing jazz music are from when I was a very little girl and my mother would make me a cup of tea and she would put on Billie Holiday. And I couldn't believe this woman's voice. Billie led me to Ella Fitzgerald. Ella Fitzgerald led me to Etta James. Etta James led me to Dinah Washington, and then I might as well have just fell over Dinah Washington. 24 little hours brought the sun and the flowers where there used to be rain. Listening to these women, I found a color in their voice that I had never heard before. What's so incredible about jazz is that the number of songwriters and musicians that have arisen out of jazz, there's too many for me to even say. But that's what is so special about this music. I mean, when I listened to Miles Davis kind of Blue, it like, my head exploded as a kid. That trumpet playing, to emote about the heaviness in your heart through brass. That's heavy, man. The first time I met Tony Bennett, that's a night that I'll never forget. I was singing at this Robin Hood event in New York City for impoverished youth, and immediately after the show, someone came to me and said, "Tony Bennett wants to meet you." And I walked in and he said, "Lady, do you want to make a record together?" To be recognized by Tony was such an honor. Tony's in his 90s and he still sounds like a kid. His voice, it travels, it tells a story, it's amazing. I mean, singing with Tony, it only made me want to sing jazz even more. I have memories of traveling the world with Tony, watching people of all walks of life come to hear jazz, I think people think that when you work with somebody that's a legend, that simply by them acknowledging you and your talent, that they're passing you a torch. But that's not what happens. Tony has a torch, and it has this huge light, and he just let that light shine on me. But my responsibility now, to pick up my own torch and light it, and carry it as far as I can. And I want to do that for jazz and for these songwriters. And I want to keep it going, and I want to be a part of it. Why'd I go back to jazz? Because Tony opened the door. And I ran through it. You know, I went through so much trying to make it as a musician. And it messed me up. It changed me. The industry's hard. It's not easy trying to make it. But when I sing jazz, I feel 14 again. You know, I think that people think that jazz is not around anymore, but it is very much alive. So I feel I have this really epic long road ahead of me, where I get to sing songs that I know and love, and I also get to learn more. I think it is the greatest music in American history, and I just want to keep it going. And to be asked to sing jazz in Las Vegas, that's a dream. Why do you do jazz? Why do you do jazz? Why not? They have no idea the joy it brings to my heart. Can you believe that there is a book called The Great American Songbook, where some songs are still around, still being played, that are a century old? I mean, that's like a Monet. It's one thing for a song to last a decade, or 2 decades, or 3, but for a song to last a century, that's something special. And I feel honored to disperse some of my hit songs throughout the show, to sing at the piano, to strip it down, and to be with the people. But quite frankly, it's intimidating. I'm in the company of the biggest heavyweights in songwriting that exist. And I'm so very honored. I hope what people take away from this show is that music has no limits, and that no art form, especially jazz, deserves to be left in the past. It should be brought forward in any type of way. I'm okay if I don't live on forever, but I'd really like to be a part of these songs living on forever. I just feel blessed I get to be here. And I'm so happy that all of you have come tonight. It's a dream come true.